We're finally returning to Tarkir! And I figured, how better to celebrate than by looking at a card from this glorious plane, and, well, it's not going to be one you expect. A dragon? No. Morph? No. An Ojutai monk who makes energy? Yes. Emissary of Soulfire is a 3-mana Azorius 1/4 Djinn monk creature who adds 3 energy on entry, and who, at sorcery speed, allows you to pay 2 energy to put an exalted counter on a creature you control. Non-evergreen keyword counters, my beloved. Exalted counters are genius, definitely helped by the fact that Exalted is just a wonderful keyword. But Steve, I hear you ask, why are you covering an energy card? Surely it just gets played in energy decks, and that's that. Well, for one thing, it just kinda isn't. This thing is criminally underplayed, even in energy decks. And look at you, Liberty Prime players. Emissary will just end games in your deck with the amount of energy you can build. Play this thing. However, I also don't think that all energy cards should just be limited to purely energy-focused strategies, and Emissary here is a prime example of that. In specific, I think this card excels in 2 particular deck styles outside of your standard energy build: Blink and Proliferate. Starting with Blink, the reason I think Emissary works here is because he opens up an aggro direction that a lot of Blink decks lack, while helping facilitate an energy toolbox at the same time. See, with Blink decks, a lot of the way that they usually go about trying to win the game is by using a constant stream of value effects to outlast their opponents and win the resource war while chipping away at life totals, which, as you can imagine, is not the fastest of win cons. However, then you factor in this bad boy into the mix, start spreading exalted counters about, and whatever single attacking creature you're throwing about the place is going to start taking names. But why not just play cards that spread +1/+1 counters instead? Well, for one thing, why not both? But also, Soulfire does come with a few advantages. So, 1. You make more energy than the ability requires, meaning you get more than a single counter off of any given ETB, and over time accrues you a lot of value and more counters than, say, just a single +1/+1 counter granter would give. 2. The counters can be spread across the board and still buff the big creature, meaning you don't lose all your Voltron building progress if your big threat gets removed. 3. Only the energy addition is an ETB, meaning that you have control over the timing of when you want to exalt your stuff, and thus you won't lose counters by blinking. And 4, it synergizes with any energy pieces that these Blink decks might already be playing, like Guide of Souls and Volatile Stormdrake. If I were to name a commander I think this card goes best in, at least for this Blink-style strategy, it'd probably be Brago. He's already a flyer who wants to be dealing combat damage, and who generally attacks alone anyway, so why not use Emissary and turn him into a commander damage threat at the same time? Also, I personally play him in my Cecily and Vernog deck to give Cecily significantly more favourable attacks into gummy board states, which she can struggle with doing naturally. But now the other strategy. Proliferate! As much as I like Emissary and Blink, this is where he truly shines. Because energy is a counter, it can be proliferated, and that means that Emissary provides 2 proliferation targets in one neat package. This is made all the sweeter by the fact that Exalted is an ability that stacks, and so stacking multiple Exalted counters on a creature has a distinct tangible effect and makes the buff bigger. And then this is made even neater by the fact you can get to proliferating both counters on the turn Emissary drops, as activating the Exalt effect after just one Emissary ETB leaves an energy behind, as well as putting the Exalt counter onto the board. And of course, when you're proliferating energy, more energy means more Exalts, which, when combined with the fact you're already proliferating your Exalts, just results in a board covered in these bloody counters, and I am here for that. Even better is the fact that Exalted counters work really nicely alongside +1/+1 counters in this kind of deck as well, since with the counters having different names, proliferating a creature with them both on results in an extra of each, or basically double the buff for the same amount of proliferate. Also, for what it's worth, this works with other buff counters like +1/+0 counters if you're the Clockwork Steed kind of gamer. I am. That's me. As for commanders, I mean, with Proliferate comes Atraxa, sure. But really any Azorius plus Proliferate commander works really nicely. Falco Spara comes to mind, for example. And, well, it's here where we get to what I think is the best commander for this bad boy, possibly a candidate for this show himself, actually. Denry Klin, Editor-in-Chief. Denry gives all counters he has on himself to any of your non-token creatures when they enter as like a copy of those counters. And so he's already playing a bunch of proliferate effects, which is ideal for Emissary. But then add the fact that stacking all of your exalted counters onto Denry results in them being innately spread around the board as creatures are entering, and then as this proliferation is going on as well, you kind of get to a point where any one creature will take out just really any player when attacking alone because of the sheer amount of exalted counters around, and I think that's wonderful. Not bad for an energy payoff that none of the energy decks want to play, eh?